Greetings folks, do you remember the time you were out and for some random miracle this beautiful girl started to pay attention to you, but your friend, the guy that never knows how to take the hint, is still talking about his Yu-Gi-Oh cards collection and ruins your once-in-a-lifetime chance to find true love? Me neither, because beautiful girls never spoke to me. Now onto the build. After several failures, I had to finally accept the fact that a knight is supposed to parry and not trying to be Sasuke from Naruto. However, no one said that just because you parry, you must have low damage, and we are still quite tanky, all things considered. Oh no. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and maybe subscribe for more RPG gaming content. Thank you. There is gonna be a link to Map Genie in the description down below where you can find most of the items and location I'm gonna talk about. However, I will show in the video most of the stuff you need and how to get it. Now, onto the build. This build doesn't need to be level 73 to work. Let's look at our attributes for this build. Mandatory stats are gonna be 15 strength, 15 endurance, 8 dexterity, perception is gonna be up to you because we want to get that critical damage and critical strike up. In this build, we will still reach 100% critical hit chance regardless. I'm now gonna show you the skill tree based on leveling. Okay, let's begin. We're gonna start out maxing our melee damage because this will affect all melee weapon regardless. One-handed, agile fighter, and then consecutive hits maxed. Then we're gonna go in the parry tree. Why first parry and not shield? Shield will give us a lot of raw stats. Parry, we will not just increase the parry window. We're gonna get several important factors. For example, stagger will come mainly from draining riposte at the start. Then we want to go in practicality. We're gonna apply dots at the start of the game with bleed ring, most likely. So that is good. Then born in armor 1 point, inner strength. Then we go back in strength. We're gonna get executioner to make use of that stagger damage. Then powerful blows, because this is gonna be the alternative way that we're gonna stagger when we don't parry. Then we're gonna go in the shield, 3 points, 1 point, 3 point. We don't take a prepared block because we don't need to. If you want to take it for easier leveling, that's up to you, but I don't think you will need to. Then we go back in parry. We want the lifesteal, and then we want to be able to reflect projectiles. We don't do this for arrows. We do this for all the bosses like Galahan that will use magical attacks at you, otherwise you're gonna be vulnerable to those attacks. Then we go back in practicality. 1 point. We start to convert our armor. Then we're gonna go in perception. 1 point, 1 point. Not critical damage immediately because our crit is a bit low in this build. 1 point, critical aegis. Then we're gonna go with the bloodthirst. So this way, by now, we have all the sources of life still in this build. Now let's get that extra critical damage. Perfect. Then we go in status, 2 points, and Rising Scourge. We have 13 points left, so that's good. If you want, you can put 1 point in Plague Warden, just to limit possibility of one-shots. However, you should not need to. But if you want, it's up to you. You can even go 1 extra point and get Red Death Embrace, which can save your life. However, since you already have access to the King's Soul to auto-trigger when you die, you already have a cheat death card in hard situation. 1 point in Weapons of the Great Theft. We're gonna put Shield Bearer. And now we're gonna get slow as a low chance of trigger, but will give you a free 4-second damage window when it pops, so that's good. Now, technically, like this, the build is already over and we have 9 points. However, we can still put more points and stuff. So, 3 points in endurance for extra HP. Then we're gonna go in Unstoppable Moment, so we have more sources of stamina regain. If you do not want to use Unstoppable Moment, an alternative would be in the stamina tree, you could go this way, where you will get 40 stamina after you stagger someone, which will happen pretty often. It's only gonna cost you, however, more points. It's, however, gonna cost you 4 points. Okay, let's look at our gear. On our main weapon, it's gonna be Shadowfang Reaver. This is, in my opinion, the best weapon for this build because, simply put, 200 critical damage is quite a lot. And the base damage of this weapon is already quite good. For relics, use a setup that allows you to apply poison or bleed. I'd rather go poison because we use the poison ring for extra damage. For shield, I went Bramble. Of all the shield that I tried, this is the one that I like the most. There are, of course, alternatives. You have status effect shield for poison, for burn, for bleed. If you want, you could try them. In that case, you will need to switch your relic setup and see whatever works best for you. This is, however, what I felt was best for me. Now, for set, the main item that you must not give up in this build is the Duel Knight gloves. All other items, you can play around with those. This one will increase a lot the stamina loss after we parry. We have two ways to stagger on this build. One is through raw damage on heavy attacks with our one-handed axe, and the other one is when we parry. On this build, we will parry a lot, because since your goal on this build is to get your block skill level maxed, because once we level up our block skill high enough, it will increase the window of making parrying against most enemies much easier, especially because we slot in perks for it. For Helm, you can go Duel Knight. It's part of the same set from the second Duelist in Act 2. This one will give you more survivability. Of course, it can be replaced with an offensive Helm. You could go Ravenous, you could go Lancelot. However, I like this one the most because our health is already quite good. We want to be a little more tanky on this build. On Cloak, the Duel Knight cape from the first Duelist Abigor in Act 1. In Act 1, we will level up with the Duel Knight set and some Duel Knight items even in Act 2 and maybe Act 3 depending on your choices. Upgrades to the Duel Knight cape will increase the critical chance offered. For Amulet, I went Stonewarden Talisman, which is crafted from the Blacksmith quest in Act 2. For Chest, Titan Armor from the Blacksmith vendor in Act 2, after you complete the Broken Heart quest. Titan Armor will give you a lot of HP. Of course, this item can be replaced, however, you will lose a lot of health. For Pants and Shoes, these are dropped by the final Duelist in the secret instance in Act 3. You need to kill every single Duelist through the 3 acts, and then you need to do the instance, kill the Duelist again, and then kill the secret boss. You don't have to use these Pants and Shoes, however. The melee retaliation is kinda worthless to begin with. I like the Pants because of the physical damage increase, however, these two items can be replaced with whatever you want. Lancelot, Ravenous, you choose, it doesn't matter. For rings, Poison Ring like I said, and then Blood Ring that you get from Act 1. If you apply Bleed in another way, then you don't need the Blood Ring, you can use maybe an increased HP ring. Probably would be best, or maybe melee damage. Okay, what is the best start possible for this build? In the tutorial, get the bonus HP statuette, get the HP ring, get the stamina ring. Outside of the tutorial, before leaving, get the physical damage amulet. Kill Caradoc before leaving. This will give you a lot of XP, but it will cost you a free statuette that it could give you in Act 1 before you progress in the story. Afterwards, when we get on the beach, we can buy 3 Deer's Antler from the merchant where the Tomb of Lancelot is. Trade them in for the Sanctuary for 10% speed. The best item you can get in Act 1 are gonna be the Parrying Sword by killing Mallory in the Blood Lake Cave. Then, of course, you have Abigor, the first Duelist. You can also go with the Parrying Gauntlets for the first 2 acts of this game. There is a Parrying Dagger, however, I don't think it's really that worth it, because with the Parry Sword we can start to stagger a lot early on. Abigor will also drop the Honorary Blade. When you reach the point of being capable of stagger enemies without the need of using the Parrying Sword, then Honorary Blade it's gonna be a damage increase. In the Crypt you can get a recipe that can also be bought from the blacksmith to craft yourself a knight set. However, you don't need to craft the set. You can get almost a full set from, for example, the Disgraced Knight here, or even here. So the set drops around the world, but sometimes you will miss an item in the chest. In that case, you can do the quest for the keepers that will start out here, and then you just offer bows to the father of the keeper, and eventually he will talk to you about the tunnels. In Act 1, before you leave the Act 1, do the Shrine of the Bear. It's gonna be 5% physical damage. Okay, let's talk about Shield, the winning word that you can get by following the Crypt questline. The Duel Shield, it's an inferior version of the Bramble Shield. I will just tell you, when you kill Abigor, use the Duel Shield, just because by then you will have quite a few armor. If you are having issue with using the Abigor set, the Duel Knight set, because it's too heavy, just use the Encumbrance Ring that you get in the tutorial. That one will lift a little bit the penalty on armor weight, as long as it's equipped. Last important thing before you leave Act 1 or you advance too far in the main quest here and you take a decision regarding what to do with the Barbarian, go to Ugue and buy the Crushed Pilgrim Bone. If Ugue dies, you lose this item permanently. I'm not gonna waste a lot of time in Act 2 because there is gonna be a separate section for gear and most of our gear comes from Act 2 anyway. From Filth, buy a Crushed Pilgrim Bone. When you are in the Red Dead Fortress, trade 10 max health for 2 points. This one is amazing. There is also another merchant, Bonksy, that will sell you a Clairvoyant Ashes, which is a free skill point. We need all the skill point we get, so if you have to choose between attributes and skill, always prioritize skill points. Alright, let's quickly talk about the Shrine. Act 2 has amazing Shrine. Krokmo, 20% critical damage, get it. Bugane, 3% critical damage. Most of the mobs that will drop the offering are usually around the shrines, so don't worry. I think you can find some Bugane around here as well. And then, of course, the Shrine of the Deer is 10 max stamina. Once you get in Act 3, get the Pilgrim Bone there for 1 attribute points. This one is for free, you just need to talk with the NPC here. For shrines, Krokmo, 50 encumbrance. Bear, this one is the most important of the shrines for us, because it will allow us to lessen the price that we paid in Act 2 and still get 15 max health. And then finally the Shrine of the Deer, which by now you should have all this material already. You can get the Blood Ring very easily in Act 1, you just need to do a small park tour. The Bramble Shield is sitting on a small floating island on top of some roots in the northern entrance of Act 2. Just be careful because if you're low level, some of the mobs are gonna be nasty. The Shadowfang Reaver has quite a hefty buying price, you will need 10,000 gold. Meanwhile, the Stonewarden Amulet recipe can be got if you start the Blacksmith questline in Act 1, otherwise you can just go in the mine, as the quest points you out, and if you save the boy, the quest will be considered completed. The Poison Ring is in the Swamp Crypt, you can grab it at any time, no quest requirement. Unfortunately, I do not have anymore the footage for the duelist in Act 3. However, you can see the location here. after you kill every single duelist in all the 3 acts, you can access the secret entrance here. However, keep in mind that once you kill Dramus, the final boss of the secret instance, you'll be kicked out, so you will have to walk back in to loot the body. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more guides and RPG gaming content. Have fun playing Tainted Grail, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!